We all know the Sonic community really likes to divide the Sonic series into eras, Adventure era, Dark Age, Meta era, but are any of these titles even accurate? Sonic fans can't agree on anything, okay? We need a way to settle these era names once and for all, so today, let's go over every single one of them and hopefully give them a more accurate title. This is what the current general consensus looks like, so what's wrong with this list? Well, for instance, the Dreamcast era. It isn't a bad name, but since it also includes games like Heroes and the advanced titles, which were never released for the Dreamcast, many in the community see it as inaccurate. I've also heard the term Adventure era, but only 2 of the games released in this era were from the Adventure series, so it'd be kinda weird to define the entire thing off of just the first 2 games. Also, Sonic didn't even get a different gameplay style until 2008. Which is already far beyond when this era came to a close. The Dark Age is another one. The title probably was assigned during the era's existence. Sonic 06 just came out to a critical failure, we got Sonic Unleashed, which didn't get a great reception on launch, and the Storybook games. We all know how those turned out. Seems like a pretty accurate title, right? Well, in hindsight, a lot of Sonic fans wouldn't consider this a Dark Age at all. I mean, if you look at it, we got Mario and Sonic Olympic games, the Sonic Riders games, the Sonic Rifles games, and even Black Knight and Unleashed have aspects to them that people genuinely love. Sure, we got 06, and it did ruin Sonic Team's reputation for a bit, but even for that game, there's recently been people discussing all of its positive aspects. The 2010s are generally considered as the meta era, but is it really meta at all? Unless we're talking about Boom or the social media account, the game's never really poked fun at themselves in that kind of way. This is still the most commonly used name for this era, but I'm honestly not even sure where it came from. The games are written to be lighthearted cartoons, not to be meta. As you can tell, a lot of these names don't really represent their eras well, so if all of these titles are inaccurate, what would be some viable replacement options? Well, it's complicated, but let's try to go over every single one of them and give it a rebrand. Though, first I should probably say, please keep in mind that all of these titles are fully opinionated. I'm not actually trying to make a point of these, this is just how I personally view each era, so there's gonna be some bias here and there. It also means I mostly prioritize these rolling off the tongue nicely compared to being, the ultimate definitive representation of the entire era. You can agree with them, you can use them if you want, you can also disagree with me, call me names, and then, I don't know, make your own suggestions in the comments, that's fine. We start with the only one here that isn't broken already. The Classic Era. I mean, what can I say? These games are just classics. It's an accurate title, but I'm sorry to say the rest has to go. The Dreamcast era is a tough one since there's a lot of names for it that just don't really fit that well, but I was thinking about giving it the Golden Age. I mean, if you think about it, this is where 3D Sonic was really at its peak. We got some of the greatest platformers on the market and Sonic Heroes, all with great critic and audience scores. I'm only going for the Golden Age because Sonic fans often refer to this era when they talk about Sonic's greatest games, or where they talk about where they think the Sonic series should be heading in the future. Not only did it lay the groundwork for the series going forward, but this was also the series at its prime, so I think the title of Golden Age is warranted. For the Dark Age, I'm rooting for the Shonen era. Now, don't get me wrong, Sonic has always been shonen, but this was the time where it was really at its peak. If you need a refresher on what shonen means, it's basically just a genre of anime aimed primarily at boys, often featuring action-filled plots, cool characters, and massive set pieces. Now, I don't really watch anime, at all, so I don't really know much about this, but this is a title that's been assigned to the Sonic series for quite a while, and from the examples I've gotten, I can definitely see it. Sonic X primarily ran during this era, which is not only literally an anime, but also features basically all of the aspects I listed. And since the anime voice cast from Sonic X went off to voice the characters in the games, Sonic sounded and acted like an anime protagonist more than ever before. Even the stories often featured very extreme set pieces and were jam-packed with cool action scenes. Just think about some of the pre-rendered cutscenes in Sonic 06 and Sonic Unleashed. I'd say a much more accurate title for the meta era would be the Pander era. I mean, think about it. Every aspect of this era revolved around pandering to the fans. We got old, nostalgic locations in practically every game. Classic Sonic returned 3 times in the mainline games, and even more in the spin-offs. The entirety of Lost World was just pandering to Nintendo fans. And Classic Sonic took over the profile picture! I've gone through every single past era and given it a rebrand. That still leaves the question, what about the one we're in right now? I haven't seen someone properly give the current era a good name yet, which is weird because we're already a good way in. So I'm gonna take this opportunity to give the 2020s the title of the Remedy era. Outside of Mania, the mid to late 2010s were a nightmare for Sonic Team, since it seemed every game they would release got horrible review scores. So now, they're remedying that by bringing Sonic back into the public eye. Just look at what they're doing with the movies, brand new merchandise, remastering older, better received games, rebooting the comics to be more accessible, and going back to the Sonic Adventure roots with Frontiers. There's even evidence of this, with the heads of Sonic Team literally having stated that they tried to broaden Sonic's audience more to Japan with Frontiers. I also think them taking a step back and remedying some of their past mistakes is a great sign, because if you think about it, Sega got a lot of money from Sonic in the Panda era, which is exactly what they needed when Sonic Boom failed. But now, money isn't a problem anymore. People buy anything with Sonic's face on it. The only way they can go up from here is by improving their review scores and remedying their reputation. And that's exactly what Sonic fans have been waiting for. So, this is the result. This is almost every current Sonic era given a rebrand. Sonic games have always had their ups and downs, even within these eras, so if you want to know more about the eras and the different Sonic games released in them, you should check out this video of my review and overview of every single Sonic game. Come on, you know I had to do it.